Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil with Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thanks for joining me. Happy Friday. I hope you guys are enjoying the start of your weekend. We are here live on Friday, September 20th, doing some tarot readings on the channel. Do me a favor, if you can see me, give me a thumbs up, like the stream, and leave me a comment and let me know where you're tuning in from. To those of you guys that are new, thanks for joining me. I'm a Western astrologer and a tarot reader, and we're here live every Friday. We've been here a little early, but we're here every Friday, and we do readings. We alternate between tarot and astrology. So this week is tarot. I hope you guys are well. In order to get a reading, this is how it works. So you're gonna see somewhere around the screen a QR code, and you can scan that QR code, and that is actually going to allow you to be able to make a donation to get a reading. This will take you to my PayPal account where you can make a donation for a 1-card reading for $20, 3-card reading for $40, and make sure you leave me some info in the memo box, please. You can tell me whatever you want, one specific question, and give me any info, any background. Sometimes you guys like to send your astrology so I can see what you guys have going on. Sorry, my PayPal, my YouTube's being kind of screwy. There we go. Well, now I can see you guys. So who do we have here? Always at your service. What's up, Shin, Carolina, Amber, and yeah, we've got a number of people who are already in the queue. So we're gonna take the readings in the order that we receive them. We always take level 3 members first. So if you are a level 3 member and you have not cashed in on your reading for the month, let me know. I'm happy to give you your 3-card reading for the month. Just as a reminder, guys, we are also going to be here next week on Friday, and we'll be doing readings for the eclipse. So those get really busy, so stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that way you can see when we're getting ready to put the link out for that. If you want to know how the incoming October 2nd solar eclipse in Libra is going to be impacting you. All right, so you'll hear me kind of read out a list of names. We take the readings in the order that we receive them. I'm going to give you guys a heads up and call out a couple names. If you hear your name, that means that your reading is coming up. Just to give you guys a kind of roster of everybody that we have. Looks like I've got Silk, Tanya, Lauren, Corey, Alana. Let's see if there's anybody else that popped in there. All right, so that's who we have so far. So we're gonna start with Silk and then Tanya and Lauren. You guys are on deck. All right. Somebody's tuning in from Switzerland. Well, thanks for hanging out. All right, so let's see what Silk has to say. She says, I know I always ask about love, but your readings really help clear my head. My question is this guy I was seeing who we had to part ways due to stress coming back? Okay, so you guys split, and you're wondering why you guys split. So you're Cancer Sun, Capricorn Rising, and Aquarius Moon. So let's see what we can tell Silk in regards to what happened in regards to this split. What is going on behind the scenes that she needs to know. I think about being like a Capricorn rising, and okay, that one wants to come out. Getting ready to have Mars turning retrograde. You actually see Mars in the shadow in early October, so just a heads up. Interesting. These are actually really positive cards. Empress, the Chariot, and the 3 of Wands. So, you know, you get readings from me, you know that I'm always going to kind of tell it like it is. I'm kind of right between the eyes with my readings. When I look at all 3 of these cards together, they're all very positive cards. And I think about the Empress, the Chariot, and the 3 of Wands as you having a very clear direction with where you're moving, right? So the Empress coming up, it can be symbolic of you. So this can represent you, putting yourself first, prioritizing yourself, really, taking good care of yourself, and him seeing you in this light. So this is a positive card. It means he sees you as somebody who deserves the best, or somebody who deserves maybe better. And also recognizing that he may not be able to give you what you deserve at this time. So it's not like a negative thing. It's not lack of interest. It's more him being like, man, she's everything. I'm not 100% right now. And him still seeing you in that light. right? So this is the past card. The present card is the Chariot. This deals with Cancer, where I was just talking about Mars. So it's funny that that came up. The Chariot talks about getting control of a situation. Like you get in the Chariot, you figure out where you want to go. You have to kind of tame the horses and make sure that everything is stable. Otherwise, everything kind of falls off kilter, and then it could be a situation that kind of falls apart. So even though this is a positive card and it talks about forward motion and direction and like your emotions being involved and his emotions being involved, there is a sense of needing to level that. Needing to make sure that you guys are on the same page, that you're going towards the same direction, you have the same goals when it comes to relationships. So I kind of see the Chariot card as being like, you know, maybe there was something going on where you were ready to move forward, but he's like, I don't know if I can maintain what we've got going on. Intuitively, I feel like this is very much connected to that Mars transit. So like I said, you know, as a Capricorn rising, you have Mars going through your 7th house. So there's more action, there's more opportunities to meet people, you know, things can be speeding up. And we're going to see Mars throughout the retrograde make several oppositions to Pluto, one of which will be in Capricorn in your 1st house. So it's going to be about how you're responding to somebody breaking away or somebody coming back. And I think that these are positive cards. It seems to indicate like, even if you feel like, man, this isn't supposed to be over, or maybe you're taking it personally. I wouldn't, because it seems like you guys were not on the same page. I don't really necessarily feel like he could juggle, you know, relationship, work, whatever. He had other things going on that just made him feel like something was out of control and that he couldn't give you the necessary kind of attention or love that you required, but more so deserved, right? The Empress is like the top of the top. That's the queen. Then we have the 3 of Wands coming up. So the 3 of Wands talks about forward motion. Like I feel like this is a situation where you guys broke things off, but this is a card that's about keeping the door open. That's like, well, what could happen in the future? Like what is possible? And also not wanting to hold you back. So if it was a situation where he was like, man, she's really ready for something I'm not ready for, or, you know, she's trying to proceed forward and like, I just don't know if I can give her what she needs. It's setting you free in a way, in like a loving manner. The 3 of Wands is not just about picking a side and deciding which, you know, direction you're going in. It's about making a decision and moving forward. So this is about you being like, I'm not waiting for you, right? You know, the Empress, the Chariot, the 3 of Wands is, I'm going to keep things moving. I know what I want. I'm going to find what I want. If you can't give it to me, you know, then so be it. But like, I'm going to continue my path forward with trying to find a partner who is going to give me what I deserve. And that's not in like a snobby way. It's just that's just kind of where you're at with some of these cards. I do think that the 3 of Wands leaves the door open. All right. So I do think that that could be like, well, you know, maybe in the future, if you kind of get your act together, we can kind of come back together. That was kind of like an open-ended, like, you know, 3rd card. So I always check the bottom of the deck to get confirmation of what the tarot is saying, what is possible in the future. 2 of Cups, right? Connection, relationship, partnership. I feel like in the back of his head, he's like, she's perfect for me. This is a good match. I really want to be able to kind of meet her at her level. In his mind, he might think that there is opportunity for you guys in the future. So something to keep in mind is that he still may reach out to you. He may, you know, say, hey, can we get together? Or I miss you, or I want to see you. You know, how are things going? He'll open the door and see if there is any opportunity for you guys to kind of reconnect. But it's nothing that you've done. It's more about where he's at. And, you know, the Empress can be about moving into a phase in your life where you're like, I'm ready to be in a committed relationship, or I'm trying to find, you know, my emperor, or I'm wanting to be a mom. Things where there is some level of maturity that's kind of coming through in terms of some of your life goals. And obviously the Chariot can be about not just moving forward emotionally, but it can be about moves, living situations, family dynamics. This could also indicate that there is some stuff that's going on in terms of like family responsibility, helping take care of a parent, with the Chariot and the Empress kind of coming up. So there could be something going on with his home situation where he's kind of feeling like the pressure, where he's, you know, having to be super preoccupied with some of that stuff. Could be family stress or things that are going on that's making it more challenging for him to be able to kind of meet you. But I do believe that the confirmation card of the 2 of Cups is a pretty clear indication that he's just like, I'm going to come back for her. I'm just not in the right kind of space right now. I've got a lot of stuff going on, but I do think you're going to keep your options open. So anyway, I hope that that's helpful for you in giving you some insight, and let me know what happens. All right, we got Tanya. And then after Tanya, we have Lauren, we have Corey. You're welcome, Stoke. So we've got 3-card pull for Tanya. Pisces Sun, Virgo Rising. Whoa, you're getting hit by these eclipses. Taurus Moon. She says, what can I expect for this next chapter? Any general advice? I'm starting a new hobby, learning investing in stocks. As I continue working a 9-to-5 as a scientist, I started learning more about money and I'm fascinated, but I'm still in the learning stages. I want to eventually be more financially free and live on my own terms. Any advice would be very helpful, my dear. Well, I got you. That's kind of cool that you're a Virgo rising and Pluto has retrograded back into Capricorn, which is in your 5th house. So it can be about getting serious about hobbies, and Pluto rules your 3rd house. So it's about knowledge and learning and information. And 5th house is about speculative stuff, investment, stocks, gambling, the market. So I think it's really good timing for you to be doing this, just putting it out there, considering the fact that you're going to see some trines between the Sun and Virgo, which is going to be about your goals when it comes to learning more about investing and hobbies that you become kind of like obsessed with. And also Uranus, which can talk about learning about trends, patterns, kind of global things that are going on that influences your trading. So well done, good timing. All right, so these are the cards that I get in the order that I get them. And of course, the tarot decided to throw an extra card in there. So we have the Queen of Cups, the Fool card, and Strength. Okay, so we'll save this one to the end. Amazing opportunities for new beginnings. Obviously, you're not a water, you're a water sign because you're a Pisces and you're a Virgo rising. So you've got the kind of the axes that are getting hit with these eclipses that are coming in. Just generally, you know, when you have North Node eclipses in your 7th house, you'll see the North Node actually in your 7th house at the beginning of 2025. And it's going to mark a period of almost 2 years where there's lots of opportunity for you to meet new people. 7th house can be counselors, therapists, astrologers, romantic partners, clients, all that stuff. And Pisces can be people who are more emotionally vulnerable, creative, artsy, mystical, magical, right? So it's cool that the Queen of Cups is coming up because it's saying that through this axis that's getting activated, you are embracing maybe some of like the Pisces qualities. So it can be about being sensitive, being creative, being artistic, and also being more so open to relationships. So Queen of Cups could be saying you're opening yourself up to new hobbies. You're opening yourself up potentially to new relationships. You are maybe tapping into your intuition, which I think is a huge theme for Virgo suns and Virgo risings, because you're kind of channeling an energy that is very polar opposite to like what you guys are all about, you know, like kind of focused, detail oriented, about making sure that you stay on task. And Pisces, all oppositions are meant to be complementary. So they don't always have some of those analytical skills. They're more sensitive and receptive, but you're tapping into that. And so the Queen of Cups coming up is saying that it could be opening you up to some of these new sensitivities or potentially relationships, and being in a good place emotionally. And maybe that's because you're focusing on things that are making you happy. Now we've got the Fool card coming up in the current position. So this is about taking risks. And this is also about kind of leaping into interests or opportunities. Sometimes it's even like traveling, things that you would typically not do. It's kind of like daring and risky. And it's something that makes you feel excited or it makes you feel alive. So the Fool card comes up when you're saying, you know what, I've never gone there before, but I'm going to give it a try. Or I've never considered, you know, studying this, but I'm going to kind of, you know, have a shot at it. And it's about going in a new direction and not knowing where it's going to end up and being more focused on the actual process of the exploration and the learning and the excitement that kind of comes for that. So new beginnings for you obviously are kind of taking place. This can be also a signifier that this is going to be something you're really going to start seeing come the turn of the new year. For me, like the Fool card is always saying, okay, this is where we're kind of beginning at the beginning of the year. So you might start to see right around the beginning of 2025 that this stuff is starting to kind of like unfold and play out for you. And then the final card you get is the Strength card. So this is a card that is about flexing your strength, but it's not always in a physical sense. It can be in an emotional sense, in an intelligence sense. It can also be about opening up to the things that are meant to find you. And that could be relationships, right? Strength card I could see as being like, I'm just going to go after what makes me the happiest or where my bliss is. And, you know, that may be a strength that you're developing, like not having everything planned, not having everything worked out, not necessarily knowing where things are going to lead, and realizing that, you know, you find yourself at the right place, the right time, meeting the right people. And this is also about emotional strength and endurance as well, not so much physical. Notice the colors of the cards as well. We've got a lot of like yellow coming through the cards, which can talk about like renewal and also intelligence and enlightenment. And it can be about highlighting things. You know, the Strength card really is about shining a spotlight on something because it does have like a connection and an affiliation with Leo. So I could see this as being like a process where you're doing this pretty much between August of 2024 and the beginning of 2025. And you're like, I'm just not going to have any expectations. I'm going to see where life takes me. Whatever's going to be the most kind of thrilling or exciting or new, that's what I'm going to be kind of focusing on. And we'll just see where things go. This card jumped up, which was the Six of Cups, which is interesting. So this can talk about like connections, romantic connections. It can also talk about like soulmates and like meeting people who you're destined to meet, which I do think is true with some of the Pisces eclipses, but also about returning to a sense of like innocence. Like the Six of Cups talks a lot about like reflecting and reminiscing on what you used to do when you were younger, and when you would just play and enjoy yourself and like have fun and like not worry about things. So that it does seem to me like there is a sense of wanting to have something that you can do or you can participate in. Be that a hobby, a relationship, like a connection to a new group, whatever, to kind of blow off steam and feel like you can, you know, decompress a little bit and not have to take life so seriously. So you're going to be trying to find opportunities to do these types of things. It's possible there can be some really great emotional connections in the process of that, meeting new friends, you know, connecting with new people. And both of these cards can be setting the stage for potential relationships that are coming. I would say, you know, you want to look at your natal Jupiter, where it is, how it's placed, but specifically within about 6 months of this eclipse that we just had, you're going to see in the spring of 2025 that there's going to be a number of retrogrades and some more eclipses that are going to be hitting your 1st and 7th house axis. And what I will tell you, I'm a Libra rising, so I've had the South Node going through my ascendant for the last year and a half. There's like this shedding that happens where you're like, I can let go of like who I used to be, or I can make changes, or I don't have to be so overly identified with the archetype of my ascendant. So when I think about Virgo, it's like timely, organized, focused. You need to have a plan, you know, or there's always some sense of something that you have to work through, or sometimes even like a crisis or a problem. And you're embracing more of being like, okay, let's just see where this goes. So embrace that over the next 2 years, because you'll be able to let go of like old outdated identities that you've been kind of holding on to for like the better part of like the last, well, you could say 9, you could say 18 years. Those were the last 2 time periods that we had eclipses in those signs. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Tanya. Thanks, Bridget. What's up, Gigi? I'll give you guys a readout, let you know what I have. Thanks, Swats. I'll add you to the list. Let's see, who do we have next? We got Lauren, Corey, and then Alana. And if you guys are just tuning in, give me a thumbs up, like the stream. It lets other people know that we're here and we're live. And you can get in the queue by scanning the QR code right over here. Make sure you put your question in the memo box for me. Is Lauren here? Lauren, there she is. Hey Candace, any guidance or predictions from now to the end of the year? I'm open to whatever comes up. You got it. So let's see what we can tell Lauren for what's coming up between now and the end of the year. Thanks, Amber. What's up, Kobe? How is the record coming along? You guys gonna do it? All right, so what can we tell Lauren about the next 6 months? What's going on between now and the end of the year? All right, in this order, not too shabby. We got Knight of Pentacles, 8 of Wands, 7 of Wands. To me, this seems like you know, this could either be a person or you could be kind of channeling this energy. So Knights are dedicated to their cause. They get on their horse, they go somewhere. So Knights can represent messages coming in. It could also represent people coming into your life, or this could be talking about like some kind of travel. But Knight of Pentacles is the most cautious and I think the most reliable of all of the Knights. This represents an earth sign. So it could be Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. This could also mean that you have a strategy that you're working with right now, that there is some goal that you have revolving around where you want to go when it comes to productivity, health, career, and money, okay? And messages can be coming in revolving around these things. Generally, it's pretty positive when you see a Knight, by the way. It's like, oh, okay, a situation is developing. It's leading me to being able to kind of like get ahead, get a new job, you know, like prioritize my health or take some kind of action in a way that's going to bring you some sort of prosperity. Eight of Wands is about the energy shifting very quickly. So Eight of Wands is like, we're not just kind of figuring out where we're going. The energy over the next 8 weeks, 8 weeks or 8 months is going to be like light speed. Figuring out where you're going, sticking to it, you know, feeling motivated also. This is also a card that is about movement. I could see this as being like lots of excitement and feeling very empowered about some of the changes that you're making or some of the progress maybe that you're making in some of these areas. I also feel like this is a card that is kind of like a sexy card. So it can be saying there can be some kind of whirlwind thing going on with like a romantic connection. So if you're in a relationship, there could be a lot of progress happening here. If you're not in a relationship, keep your eye out for an earth sign that can be kind of popping in that's really pushing you to evolve in some way. And it could bring you travel, excitement, romance, like lots of opportunities to kind of just go out and do things that you would typically not necessarily do. And also encouragement. So you might be feeling very supported or encouraged by another person to like meet your goals, especially when it comes to places you want to go, especially when it comes to money you want to make, or to be kind of like entrepreneurial. Because the Suit of Wands is very much about, okay, you want something, create it, right? That's what a magic wand is. And then this is followed by the Seven of Wands, which is about standing your ground, staying on top of a situation, not letting the momentum kind of fade, making sure also that you are standing up for yourself, you're protecting things. This could also manifest as coming out on top, right? This is like my King of the Hill card. So if you're like, yeah, I'm really going, you know, for a promotion, or I'm really going for a new job, or I really want to make money. This card can be kind of indicating that you're like, nothing's going to break my stride. I'm going to keep moving forward, eyes on the prize, and I'm not going to back down. Lots of movement in these cards. So it's saying that things are going to be progressing and moving forward pretty quickly. I do feel like with the Seven of Wands coming up, it's about believing in yourself, even though there may be some challenges with reaching some of your goals. You're very steadfast in making sure that you're not going to fall back into old patterns. You're not going to fall back in situations where you're, you know, going to say, well, coulda, woulda, shoulda. You're going to be seizing the moment and really focusing on seeing this forward progress all the way through until you get your prize. So watch for that Knight of Pentacles. It could be some news that's coming in that's like exciting and like things are picking up very quickly, revolving around some kind of development with career, health, money, those types of things. And it can be somebody who can kind of help support you with the process. Okay? All right. We're going to do it, but you're overwhelmed. Well, good luck, Kobe. Hi, JS. I see you. Thank you. Appreciate it. What's up, Emma? You're welcome, Lauren. Yeah, let's do, we'll put Emma on the list. We'll give her her reading for level 3. And then Corey, Alana, I'll give you guys the updated list in just a second. It is still open. It is still open. All right, Emma says, hey Candace, can I get my reading? I'm going on a first date tonight. Really lovely guy from what I've been learning about him. Keen to see what the messages in the cards bring up that I should be aware of. All right, let's take a look. Thanks, Tiana. It's messy 3-day-old hair. It's hot in Texas. It's hot and it's humid. All right, so let's see what we can tell Emma about this charming new man that she has met. Oh boy, this looks like quite the spread, Emma. Ten of Swords, Tower card, 5 of Cups. Well, my question would be, is he coming out of something? What has he been overcoming? What has he been dealing with? I mean, you're not going to get 3 of those cards for no reason, you know? 10 of Swords is in the previous position, the past position. So that does talk about like, maybe he's a little apprehensive and a little gun shy when it comes to dating and vulnerability and being in a relationship. You know, obviously this is I got burned, I got stabbed in the back, you know, I didn't have a good run. Something happened. So I'm not saying you have to like give him, you know, 21 questions, but definitely I would say that the more that you get to know him, you'll see that he's like really been through it, and he's had some experiences either in his personal life or in his dating life that looks like it's been rather challenging for him. So to me, it seems like he's willing to kind of get back into it. Then we see the Tower card coming up in the current position, which actually, I mean, maybe it's just me. I'm not really afraid of the Tower card. I feel like when I see that card, I'm like, let's get this party started. Like, let's just get it over with, you know? So it could be saying that he's in the process of rebuilding, or he's in the process of like restructuring things and reprioritizing things. I do feel like the Tower card and the 5 of Cups makes me wonder if it's a situation where something you should be aware of is that you may be going into a situation where somebody's like, yeah, I'm ready to date and all this stuff. And he genuinely may want to, you know, date or meet somebody or continue something with you. However, the question is, has he dealt with the past, right? If I saw like Ace of Swords coming up, the Death card, the Devil, I'd be like, I don't really know about this guy. That's not really so much what I'm saying. For me, it's like, where has he been and what has he been through? And has he worked through it and has he healed himself? 5 of Cups, you know, you got 3 of Cups spilled in front of him and there's 2 of Cups behind him. So my interpretation of that, is this somebody who focuses too much or thinks too much or is still hurt or maybe a bit bitter about something that didn't work in the past? And is that going to potentially blind him or keep him from being able to see what's right in front of him, right? That's more of my thought on that. 5 of Cups is a difficult card because you don't want to stay there for too long. It's like if you mope about something for too long, you're never going to be able to pull yourself out of that situation. So, you know, like, look, don't write some guy that you haven't really gotten to know off because of 3 tarot cards. Take the information, go to the date, and then get to know him and then see, do his words and actions align, right? Is he really kind of walking the walk and talking the talk? If he opens up to you and says, well, yeah, you know, I broke up with somebody a couple months ago, or, you know, I'm just coming out of something, or, you know, I got my heart broken pretty badly and this is what happened. It's about hearing him out, letting him talk about it, getting it out in the open so you know what he's experienced, so you have better insight moving forward. Confirmation card that I got was the King of Pentacles. So for me, this is that process of rebuilding himself. This is that process of like being like, yeah, this is what's happened, but I'm not going to allow it to define who I am. I'm not going to allow the past to, you know, influence the future. Maybe there are some things that come up where he gets a little scared, or maybe he gets a little insecure, or maybe, you know, you find out that he's going through some trials, you know, privately in his life and some stuff that he's working through that he's been kind of disappointed or bummed out about. But I don't really see that affecting him as a person. Because the King of Pentacles, you know, like in astrology, in tarot, I feel like the King of Pentacles is, of all of the kings, the one that's the most grounded, most successful, most reliable, and genuinely somebody who is a solid partner, especially when you think about, you know, the suit of Pentacles. It's going to be about not just money, but values and dependability, and somebody who's going to have, I think, a really solid kind of like work ethic and stuff. So maybe these cards are talking more about where he's come from and where he's going. And now that he's focusing on kind of building himself back up and getting to this point, you know, this is, as much as I hate to say it, this could be like a total HGTV project. This is like like when they flip houses, this is like flip a boyfriend. Like you meet a guy where he's like, well, I'm going through changes to my job and, you know, this, and I'm doing that. And like you find out that he's got some stuff that he's working through, but your influence, because he's coming up eventually as the King of Pentacles, could mean that your support, the relationship, what you guys could potentially have may actually inspire him to be like, I want to be better, you know? And he may end up being somebody who is like a really like great person. So give them a chance, see what happens. I'd be curious to see what happens with these cards and like what the secret is or what the experience is that's maybe made him a little jaded. Anyway, keep me updated. Come back and let me know what happens. All right, let's see, who else do we have? So we've got Corey and Alana, and then I will give you guys the rest of who's here. So if you want to get a reading, scan the QR code. You guys can get on my list. All right, so here's who I have. Corey, Alana, Brandon, Kelly, Matthew, Lo, Janae, Amber, Stephanie, Swati, Kimberly, Shani, Vanessa, and Jessica. So if you heard your name, I have you. And if you hear your name again, that means you're coming up. Okay. All right. So we're now going to move to Corey. What's up, Corey? All right. So Corey says, what should I be aware of for this upcoming solar eclipse? Something feels off. I'm not worried. It just feels like something has majorly shifted in a very deep level. Work has been intense. Thank you. What's up, Iris? How's Bali? All right, so let's see. What do we have to tell Corey about this eclipse? I'm kind of with you. It does feel off, but that's because it's a South Node eclipse. So it's new beginnings that come from clearing stuff out. Oh my goodness. Well, I just said if I see the devil card, I summoned it. All right, so we got the Tower card again. That better not be the card of the night, y'all. I hope not. Then the King of Wands and the Devil. So for me, if Corey, if you're here, pop in the chat because I want to know your sun, moon, and rising. But the Tower and the King of Wands makes me feel like there's going to be this reckoning or realization for you that's like, oh, that may not necessarily be as secure or stable as I thought it was. And I think a lot of people are going to have that experience. I think solar eclipses, they bring, some kind of drama or crisis that is perpetuated by, having to take action and making a change. Thanks, Corey. Taurus sun, and you're a Pisces rising. Okay, so the eclipse is going to be in your 8th house. So I think about how, South Node Libra, karmic clearing, right? And then we talk about the aspects with this eclipse. It's going to quincunx Saturn, which is obviously in Pisces. So it's going to be, in your 1st house. And I think it's going to be about realizations about what you can and cannot feel like supports you. And, the 8th house can be other people's money. It can be about intimacy. It can be about insurance. It could be about investments. And you might be like, wow, I thought I thought my partner was more financially stable, or I thought that this was going to support me. And then you have this realization that's like, I can't, or that's not going to come through. King of Wands is helpful. I feel like that's about kind of leaping into action and being like, okay, I'm going to make magic happen. Like I'm going to make a change. Partners in Aries. Okay. Or that you have, like an Aries partner. So it could be an Aries or a Leo or Sag that perhaps steps in, or you're channeling this too. I know you're a woman, or you're channeling this and you're like, all right, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to make the necessary moves that I need to make. Being a Pisces rising, North Node's been in your 2nd house. So there's been a lot of you focusing on, okay, what can I build? What can I create? What can I have for myself? And I think that the King of Wands can be giving you lots of hope and inspiration, and also stamina to feel creative, to come up with creative solutions, to be able to, earn more, create more, bring more in for you, and you're feeling like you can make stuff happen. I've been breaking unhealthy habits and building positive ones. Well, the Devil card comes up in the last position, and with the Devil card coming up, this does talk about Saturn, so it's in your 1st house, and so that's got to be a bit of a stinker, having Saturn, which helps you feel focused and committed and responsible, and you create boundaries, and then Neptune, which is like, what boundaries? They go out the window. So I think really this is more about the relationship that you're having with Saturn. And when I think about Saturn's connection to your 11th house, It's about your goals, right? It's about your networks. It's about your friends. So it can mean that you're like, I'm aligning myself with people that are successful and productive. Maybe you're cutting out certain relationships that you feel aren't good for your health or your habits. Maybe it's about you saying, if I want to get serious about my goals, this is what I have to do. The Devil card does talk about dealing with limitations and dealing with habits or dealing with addictions or dealing where you're in a situation where you feel limited. This can also be talking about work, you know, so it can be saying that you have goals that are kind of coming up where there is more focus and emphasis with being able to, you know, really kind of break through any limitations that are keeping you from being able to expand. I would keep an eye on Saturn. I would watch when planets oppose or square Saturn. So you're going to have a really colorful time when you're going to see Sag season, because you're going to have like the Sun and Mercury and Venus and everything's going through your 10th house, which in theory is really good for your career. But it's all going to square Saturn. And I feel like that's probably when you're going to be dealing with this whole, okay, I'm leveling up at work. And when you have squares from the 10th house to the 1st, it actually energizes you. It pushes you to do more. So it'll really kind of hammer out Saturn and Neptune, where if you haven't been sure, if you've been passive, or if you've been afraid of making changes, you might be able to kind of make those changes a little bit more easily then. That's the feeling that I get. And try to look at it not as, you know, black and white, good and bad, right and wrong. Try to look at things as, am I making decisions that are going to be really assisting me in breaking out of old patterns? And is this going to be a positive change? And even though it's hard, how can I make this a positive thing, right? And don't look at it as, oh, Saturn's, you know, kind of hitting me in the gut again. Look at it as, I'm consciously making these sacrifices and these decisions. I know that, you know, it's gonna end up bearing some kind of fruit down the road. And yeah, that's the best advice I can give you for Saturn. You know, Saturn and Neptune are going to be dancing side by side in your sign off and on for still another, like, you know, year plus. So it's going to take some time. And I think Pisces risings are battling some wavering energy levels. And so a lot of it can be like, when do I have the energy to do some of this stuff, you know? But hopefully that's helpful in kind of giving you some insight, and you're able to kind of replace those old habits with new patterns that make you feel empowered, not kind of stuck or rigid or routine, right? Thanks, Corey. All right, we've got Alana, Brandon, and then Kelly. All right, what's up, Alana? I see your questions, Jake. Are you on my list? I don't have you. Let me know if you want to get a reading. All right, so I have Alana here who says, I've been dating someone new for the past few weeks. He came on really strong and then backed off. I was feeling doubts because of some comments he was making, like he was sarcastic towards me, which bothered me a lot. I've gotten into an anxious spiral with it now, and he's pulled back, and I'm not sure how to recover. If the relationship will bounce back, or if this just is what it is now. For context, he was born January 19th, 75. Thanks, Alana. What's up, Faith? All right, so what can we tell Alana about this back and forth going on with this guy? What is like the outcome, and what does she need to know about the dynamic now? All right, so in this order, well, you got 3 major cards here, girl. Alana, aren't you a Virgo rising? I feel like you are. I can't remember. If you are, then, you know, planets going through Virgo right now, the Sun, you know, Mercury, making oppositions to Saturn and Neptune in your 7th house. Yeah, Virgo rising. Okay. You know, you've got these planets that are coming in direct opposition with basically Saturn and also with Neptune in your 7th, right along your descendant. So you're going to see from your interactions with other people are going to be very Saturn, Neptune. They're going to create boundaries, or they're going to get cold, or they're going to be evasive, and then you're going to be like, where did they go? What's going on? And sometimes that's our perception, but that's not what's happening under a Neptune transit. So it really depends on other things going on in the chart, but it's just worthy of mentioning. That's kind of a big deal. You're almost a Libra rising. So one thing I would say that you're going to want to watch for is in mid-October, there will be a full moon in Aries, which will be in your 7th house, Placidus. and it will square Mars in your 10th house, which is likely going to kind of give you the direction as to which way things are kind of going, right? And we've got eclipses coming, so you'll see that kind of build up to then. Majors always equate to major things happening. We know that there's only 22 majors in the deck, so when you pull 3, obviously there's a lot going on. We've got Judgment card, and the Judgment card is kind of saying like decisions being made, evaluations, choices, permanent decisions moving forward. So it can mean that he's sitting back and he's thinking about the relationship and being like, okay, you know, am I doing this or am I not doing this? You know, and it can also be quite literal. It can be, well, is someone judging me? You know, do I feel like they're casting judgment because they said something? Maybe perhaps he kind of took it that way. If you were like, hey, you know, I didn't really like the jokes and the things that were being said, he could be like, oh, you know, maybe he's also pulling back and retreating because he's feeling like he did something wrong. But when the Judgment card comes up, it's basically saying there is going to be a definitive answer. It's not going to be like somebody just fades out and then you don't hear from them and then you don't get closure, or you don't know what they're thinking, or you don't know what's wrong. Like you're going to end up being in a situation where I do think that you're going to be able to have a sit down and talk to them about what's happening. The Lovers card comes up. So this is a card that talks about options, choices, paths, partners. This can also be saying that there can be a really strong bond here. So I don't really see it being a situation where somebody has completely, you know, like jumped ship and they're gone, because there is something that still brings the two of you guys together, or there still is an interest in connecting or being in a relationship. However, the Lovers card talks about choices, and it's like, do I want this or do I want that? Do I want to be in this or do I want to be alone? So from the perspective of your astrology, which is what I'm going to keep coming back to, Saturn and Neptune in your 7th house means they may not necessarily be aware of the fact that they're kind of hot and cold. They may not be aware of the fact that they're kind of being self-isolating, or that they're kind of sending mixed messages. And the lovers need to come together in order to be able to sort something out and work together. So the final card is the Moon card. So it is saying that probably something along the lines of when you see a lunar transit. So solar eclipse, October 2nd, you know, full moon in Aries, you're going to see, I think, around October 16th, 17th, right? These dates are going to be times that you're going to want to pay attention. But if we remove him from the situation, if I was just looking at these cards in regards to you, I would be like, this is a turning point where you're supposed to be making a decision about what it is that you want in relationships, and not feeling like relationships are always going to be leading you to a sense of not knowing what's happening or where things are going. Unfortunately, because you have your ascendant and your descendant at 29 degrees, it means that the way you approach things is super detail oriented. You know, 29 can represent crisis or mastering something. And then on the other end of the spectrum, partners and relationships with 29 of Pisces are like, have undoing patterns. Sometimes they can fade away, they can get depressed, they can be secretive, they can have addiction issues, they can have mental emotional issues. I'm not saying he does, but that's something that happens if you have that placement. So rather than being in a situation where you're like, you know, I find that I keep getting involved with people or meeting people where the same pattern is happening, these cards are saying it's about you making a choice to be like, it's not so much about whether or not he's choosing me. It's about you recognizing and waking up, because the Judgment card is like a reckoning to the fact that you're not feeling chosen, or that that person is not being clear with you. Or, you know, perhaps you're feeling like, well, are they exploring other options? Like, what's going on? So it's about you making the decision to go, it's not about him choosing me. It's about me saying, this doesn't work for me. And if I don't like the fact that you're not communicating well, or if I don't like the fact that I'm being left in the dark and it's making me crazy, because that's what the Moon card is, right? It's about our subconscious and our emotions, and we're up all night and we're anxious and we're worried because we don't know what's going to happen and we don't know where things are going. And it leads to this state of fear, sometimes even paranoia, and it can create a lot of subconscious issues revolving around relationships. This is a wake-up call for you with Saturn and Neptune on your descendant. It's saying, do you want to keep playing games, or do you want to move forward in a much more straightforward way? Thankfully, what you will see in this next year is Saturn and Neptune will go into Aries, which means like you're going to see there's going to be a shift with relationships like night and day, where it's going to be like where people have been evasive and they're not taking the time, they're not making the moves. Suddenly, boom, you know, spring of next year, when you have all these retrogrades in Aries in your 7th house, either a relationship will progress forward very quickly, or you'll change directions in a relationship, or you'll meet somebody and it's very karmic because Mercury will retrograde there, who's going to be like, you're what I want. Let's do this. I think there's a lesson to be learned here about not feeling like the person who is the victim in the situation, and instead turning it around and being like, if we're seeing each other, we should be able to talk about stuff. And we talked about something and I've noticed that you've been kind of trailing off, and like, I don't like feeling like I'm just an option or a choice, and I don't like being left in the dark. So what are we doing? Right? And kind of taking charge of the situation. You're probably going to want to do that when you're going to have some better aspects involving Mercury. And I'm assuming that right before we have the eclipse, it's going to be on October 1st, Sun and Mercury will cazimi right on your ascendant. And that'll be about probably you going, now it's time for me to say something. I need to talk to him. I need to make an announcement, or, I can't keep quiet about it anymore. And then boom, you're going to have an eclipse, which even though it's in Libra, it's on your ascendant. So it's kind of a clean slate, and releasing any tension or anxiety or any fears or any inhibition in having a conversation with another person. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful for you. All right, so we got Brandon, Kelly, and then Matthew. And if you guys are joining us, you want to get a reading, you can scan up there or over there, whichever one works for you, and you can get in the queue. Brandon says, what is a talent I have that I may not know about? Thank you. Thank you, JS. I'll get you in just a second. Sorry, I just saw your message. All right, Brandon says, what's a talent that I have that I may not know about? Seven of Swords. That's an interesting card to pull. Okay, so I can see this a couple different ways. One is the Seven of Swords is knowing that you can get away with things. But I also think that this is about recognizing patterns. And I know that sounds weird, but this is a card that you see a guy walking away and he's carrying the swords and he looks behind him. He's reading the scene, he's recognizing, or he's got like a sixth sense that's like, hey, there's something off here, right? And then listening to the intuition and kind of looking back. The swords are obviously, a suit that deals with mental stuff, communication, connection, information, they're difficult cards. And the Seven of Swords can be about sometimes illusions. Sometimes it can be about also painting a situation better than it really is. It can also be about natural instinct, knowing who or what you can trust, right? So you may have that natural sixth sense that's like, man, I feel like I'm at the wrong place at the wrong time. I got to get out of here. Or you're in the company of another person and you're like, this person is full of shit, or I can't trust them. Or, you may be somebody who can spot a scam or spot a crime, or there is this sense where if you are in the presence of something that is off, you know exactly like when to get out of Dodge. The other interpretation that I have is that, you have a way of being able to be a little, I think like Mercury, like it's like a trickster energy, it's playful, but also it's like you can kind of weasel your way out of things when you communicate with people and be like, well, this isn't really that bad, and it may be a situation that isn't so great, but the way that you're actually connecting and talking to people, you're able to make light of situations, or you're able to kind of shift it so you're not perceived in a negative light, right? This is very kind of like a mercurial energy. And also this is a lot about whether or not you can get caught doing things. So there can also be like this angel and this devil on your shoulder. He says, Mercury is my dominant planet. There you go. Where you're like, half of your, your inner self is saying like, yeah, I do it, and you know that you shouldn't do it. But there is this mischievous side of you that's like, yeah, talk about it, go there, like get in the mix. And then there's the other side of you that's just like, what the outcome is going to be if you do that, And sometimes, especially if you're Mercury dominant, you just don't care. You don't give a shit. You're like, I'm going to do it anyway, just to see what people say. But I think this is more about knowing what you can and cannot get away with, and knowing that you can kind of push the limits with some things and doing it in a way that's kind of fun and mischievous, and possibly even having like a way with words, right? Anyway, I hope that that's helpful for you. I have Mercury on my sun, so I know exactly what that's like. All right, JS says, I have to go, but my question is, I was on a dating spree wanting a relationship, and now this week I feel so exhausted. Now I don't want a relationship. Why? I feel so hot and cold. 27 degrees Scorpio rising. Well, it's because you're a Scorpio rising and you have a South Node solar eclipse coming in your 12th house, which means you feel like you want to run away from relationships. You want to hide. And Venus is going to go into your first house where you're like, I just want to do me, you know, like, and it may attract even more people to you, right? So definitely undoing is 12th house, and the eclipse is going to be there. And there can be this feeling because Mercury and the sun is there that you're like burnt out. And Mercury and the sun will Kazemi, which means you're going to be like, you know, I was like super into it, talking to all these dudes. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, why did I say that to that person? Or something that a guy says to you kind of turns you off. Or maybe you kind of got your fix and you're like, I had fun, I'm good, leave me alone, you know? So there is this natural like energy of kind of feeling a little, I guess, like exhausted, like you said, in regards to dealing with relationship stuff. And yeah, recognizing that you need more alone time or that you need more rest, right? So these are the cards that I got for you. 3 of Coins, Judgment, and the 9 of Coins. I kind of feel like the 3 of Coins was about, in all honesty, you trying out or testing out dating multiple people. You know, 3 of Coins can be about like, you know, having more than one person that you're kind of engaging with at one time. Or maybe it's about, you know, seeing what works and what doesn't work. I mean, hey, like dating is meant to be dating. Like you get out there, you experience it, you see what you like, what you don't like. And if you end up finding something that you really like, then, you know, you can buy it and take it home. But I think the 3 of Coins is about you being like, I just want to get out there and see, you know, what's out there. And I want to kind of get back into trying to make dating work. And there could have been a sense of trying to do too much at one time. The Judgment card, which is the awakening, the realization, right? It's about a shift that you have revolving around, oh my God, you know, an epiphany. Like, do I really want this? Do I want to be meeting people this way? Do I want to be meeting more than one person at a time? Like, is it really going to be this time consuming? And the Judgment card is fine. It's a wake-up call. It's a message that's coming up for you that's like, do I really have to feel like I have to go into the dating world and throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks? You know, maybe that doesn't work for you. Surprisingly, like, you know, I think you have a moon in the 7th house. If I remember, Scorpio risings are generally very, very, very private. So they don't have a tendency to want to like let a bunch of people like into their life at any given time. So maybe for you, you're feeling drained because if you have Scorpio placements, even if it's just a rising, people will kind of like succubus, you know, they'll kind of feed off of your energy a little bit. So there can be the sense of you being like, I'm exhausted. I've been giving too much of myself away. I need to kind of rest and recharge. And I'll, you know, decide whether or not this is really the way that I want to kind of go about dating or not. And then finally you have the 9 of Coins, which is after resting and recharging and also recognizing and realizing like, wait a second, you know, maybe I thought I was going to have issues meeting people. And now I'm realizing there is no issues meeting people. And like, I actually am probably doing a lot better than I gave myself credit for. 9 of Pentacles is like, I can go out and do what I want. And like men will flock to me, right? This is like a well-kept woman. She's wealthy. She takes care of herself. She's healthy. She has everything she needs. She doesn't need anybody to take care of her or to save her. So this is also about carrying yourself in a way or portraying yourself in a way that's like, I don't need to be going out with a bunch of different dudes. Like, I'm not going to go out with somebody unless they're going to like knock my socks off and like go above and beyond and like check all of the boxes. Like, why am I going to waste time, you know, trying to kind of, like I said, throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. So probably rest and recharge mode is kind of the feeling that I get. And then coming out of it being like, man, I've got all these dudes that are interested in me. And like, maybe I just needed that as kind of like a confirmation that like, yeah, I think I do have it going on, but that doesn't mean that I need to be just giving my time or my energy to anybody. And like probably also making people work a little bit harder to spend time with you, right? That's how I see that too. Because this 9 of Pentacles is kind of just like, nope, I don't have time for that. That doesn't impress me. Until you really see something that impresses you or somebody who really goes out of their way to, you know, really make it clear that they're interested and they're not just wasting your time, because you can hang out with people and they waste your time. I think that's possibly what's kind of happened. It's like fun, but you're like, this isn't very fulfilling. So with that being said, see yourself as the 9 of coins. Make the men work harder. That's my advice. They have to really impress you before you're going to carve any excess amount of time out of your life for anybody. And you're probably going to not be too interested in trying to kind of take on more than one at a time. That's kind of the vibe I get. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. What's up, Patrick? Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. I blame Venus. Blame Venus. All right, let's see. Who else do we have here? We've got Kelly, Matthew, and then Lo. Kelly says, hey, Candace, 3-card reading, please. Hoping to grow our family this year after almost a year of struggling and loss. I would love to hear some insights or advice getting through this journey. I am a Capricorn rising, Leo sun, Aquarius moon. All right, born on a full moon. And my husband is a Taurus sun, Scorpio moon, and rising, for reference. Well, one thing I would just say is being a Capricorn rising, Pluto's back in your first house. So you got to be really mindful and cautious of stress, okay? The Mars retrograde is going to be going over your sun, so it's going to be about regenerative work and kind of psychologically and emotionally and like hormonally getting prepared. And what you want to do is not have there be stress and tension between you and your partner during the Mars retrograde. And then secondly, your husband's a Scorpio moon and a Scorpio rising. Saturn's trining his moon and his rising. You just had an eclipse in the 5th house. Most likely that will materialize as a baby just based off of his placements. And especially I think about come spring of 2025. So whether that happens over the next couple of weeks or it ends up happening kind of in the spring when there's retrogrades in the 5th house, I think Saturn being there will help the process. So the cards that I get for you are the King of Cups, the Moon card, and the Chariot. So something I'll tell you is I think that this is about him because he's a Scorpio, right? King of Cups. And I think that the King of Cups coming up with the Moon card is saying like, honey, he's feeding off of your emotions, right? So it sounds like you guys have had a bit of like a tough run. It sounds like there's been some challenges. Obviously, the Moon card talks about fears and worry as to whether or not something's going to turn out okay. It can be talking about emotional disruptions and like lots of things that have been coming up that maybe both of you guys have been dealing with together, but separately, it might almost seem like you're not always able to really talk about your true feelings and emotions. And so with the King of Cups coming up for him, you got a good partner. You've got somebody who is very understanding of your feelings, very supportive, and I really feel like the King of Cups is somebody who's going to be like, you can lean on me. If you need me, just talk to me. And Pluto going through Aquarius, even if it's nowhere near your moon yet, like still, it's going in that direction. So it's going to be bringing up lots of transformative things and fears and phobias revolving around motherhood and like fertility. So I feel like this might be about breaking the ice a little bit and confiding in him and, like letting him know, how difficult it's been for you. I know maybe you guys have gone through it together and you've talked about it, but I'm talking about in more depth, talking about it a little bit more deeply. And the Moon card can almost say, well, we're going to now shine a light. We're going to illuminate all of the fears and the hesitation and the issues, because there could be a lot of emotional stuff that's wrapped up in this that is also making him feel concern for you and what you have gone through and whether or not history is going to repeat itself, and then him kind of worrying as well. What's interesting is that the Moon card is still a feminine card. So this is a card sometimes, with the Empress, the Ace of Cups, a page that will come up for pregnancy readings. It can say that it can happen when you least expect it. That maybe when there is some shifts that are going on revolving around putting so much emotional focus and emphasis on it, and you just let things happen, right? And there's not all of this intensity revolving around feeling like you have to plan it or whatever. The Moon's about being receptive and like letting it come to you on your own and not needing to control it, and processing the emotions so that way your body can actually go through, the process it needs to be able to maintain a pregnancy. Then you have the Chariot card. So that's saying forward motion, changes with home, changes with family, movement, going on a trip. I mean, I look at this and I'm like, dude, you guys probably just need to go on a trip and go and get a bottle of wine and like just do your thing, you know, and not be worrying about structure and planning and this and that. Like, talk about it, get it out. You know, he may also open up to you and say, well, I've been trying to be your rock because I know you've been going through it, but this is how I'm feeling. And now I'm worried about these things, and like the impact that that can have on both of you guys energetically, which can be inhibiting this from really happening. That might be a good idea, right? And the Chariot is about getting on the same page, going in the same direction, but this is also speaking to things that are going to be happening around the time of the Cancer full moon. So that'll be the end of the year, and or also summer of next year. But changes with the family and expanding the family and all that stuff may simultaneously come with like big changes in the family. Movement, changes in the house, things involving, you know, your guys' parents. But I really feel like there is an opportunity for you guys to open up more deeply about some of your pain, your fears, your concerns, and really be there for each other even more than you already are. You may be surprised that there are some things that he's not talking about because he is trying to be there for you, and he's just kind of like, nope, I'm going to be the rock, right? But he's got some stuff too. And clearing that might actually allow you guys to proceed forward. Anyway, I hope that that's helpful. Giving you guys lots of good vibes on that process. We're going to call last call soon, so if you guys want to get your reading, now would be the time. All right, so let's see, who else do we have next here? Right. We have Matthew, Lowe, and Janae. Matthew says, hey Candace, so I have a work crush situation going on. We have great conversations, but I'm trying not to let on that I like him. Probably makes sense with Venus in Gemini in the 12th house. Could this go somewhere, or am I reading too much into it? Either way, what's next in love? I'm a Taurus sun, Libra moon, Cancer rising. Pretty sure my work crush is a Virgo. Well, that's not a bad combo for a Cancer rising Taurus sun. But let's see. If you have Venus in the 12th house, we definitely can see that there can be crushes and romantic infatuations, and it's not always easy to kind of tell people how we feel, and so there can be misconnections. Jupiter is there right now, and Jupiter rules your 6th house, so having a crush on somebody you work with definitely makes sense, right? Because that's your 6th house lord, coworkers. So what do we need to know about this crush? Is there a connection there? Are they reading too much into it? Or is there something else on the horizon? In this order, hello, 1010, Page of Cups. Nope, Swats, you're still coming up. You're just a couple readings away. All right, so first of all, Page of Cups does talk about a new potential romantic connection. It starts first with a little bit of flirting and a little bit of infatuation, but it's supposed to kind of have this build where there is this opportunity for romance, I guess, to evolve. It can also be an indication that there's going to be an offering, or that somebody is going to say, hey, let's go grab lunch, let's grab a drink, let's get together. Like, there's going to be some kind of offer or exchange that's going to be coming up. So you want to watch for that. For me, that's the card that I pull when there is not just relationship potential, but something that might actually happen romantically between you and another person. And, you know, the Ace of Cups, the Page of Cups can also be talking about like somebody who's very charming, they're very flirty, they can be a little bit more like hands-on or anything like that. So watch for that. And then you get the 10 of Cups, which obviously is about complete emotional fulfillment. This is about happily ever after. This can be saying somebody who you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I responded to, you know, their offer. I'm so glad that we worked together, that we met. For me, to go from a Page of Cups to a 10 of Cups is saying there's definitely potential here. And I think that the emotional connection is very strong if you have those two cards coming up, because it says that you kind of feel like more uplifted and happy, and like everything's kind of going in the right direction, and it's working when you're around each other. Then we have the 10 of Coins. So usually, you know, when I have like a relationship card and I see the 10 of Cups, I'm like, yes, it could be happily ever after, you know, and there could be an opportunity to kind of come together, and there is some potential here for a long-term relationship. But the confirmation or the doubling down of the 10 of Coins is saying it's not just all emotional, right? There can be some stability and security to the relationship as well. similar family backgrounds, similar values. You guys might have similar goals in terms of where you see your lives going or your career going, similar work ethics. And this is the card that comes up that's about creating a legacy, or, you know, having a life together, and the dogs, and, you know, the house, and the this and the that, and being able to build something. So it's not just all kind of like emotions and romance. There's something tangible that can actually come from the connection. It also talks about having a harmonious kind of like work environment, and like being around somebody who inspires you to want to do better, or wants to do more, or maybe it's like you're happy, you know, because you go to work and then you're able to see that person. That can be kind of coming up for you as well. But I think that there is not just a little bit of potential, there's a lot of potential here. And what it's saying is you want to look for increments of 10 weeks, the 10th month, 10 months from now. But when this opportunity comes, or this offer comes that's like, you know, come out with us, or like have lunch with me, or, you know, let's get together, you take it. Because this is literally the door that's opening, and it's going to be a really small gesture. You know, Page of Cups is like, do you want to have lunch with me? Do you want to go get a coffee with me? It's something very simple, but that's going to be the icebreaker. That's going to be the door that's going to be opening. And you're going to see, I think, how much you guys have in common. Like, you might have a crush, you kind of know each other, but when you start to get to know each other, you're going to realize, like, weird, like our families are similar, or our interests are similar, or, you know, our goals are similar. Like, there's a lot of common ground here. It's not just all chemistry, right? So let me know what happens. Definitely circle back and give me the rundown. I'm curious to see what happens in October with all of those 10s that are coming up for you. All right, chat soon. We've got Low, 3 cards for Iris. What are his feelings and thoughts towards me? Will we develop into a relationship? I met this new connection where both Libra risings, very similar parallels have been going on between us. We have Venus, Sun, Moon conjunctions in Aquarius in early degrees. You're welcome, Matt. All right, so if you guys are both Libra risings, you're both getting hit with that last little tidbit of the North Node in your 7th, which is that window of opportunity to meet like the one. And you also have eclipses and stuff going there, and like awesome to have Venus, Sun, Moon stuff in the 5th house. That's the house of true love, and it trines Libra. It sextiles the stuff in Aries in the 7th house. So let's see, for Iris, what are his feelings and thoughts towards her? And is it possible this will develop into a relationship? 2 Libra risings together. Do you guys ever decide where you're going to go out to eat? Are you guys always saying, what do you want? 2 of Swords, the Sun and the Page of Wands. The 2 of Swords is interesting for the past position. I don't know if this is a situation where both of you guys have had experiences where you were like, never again, or I'm not doing that again, or I came out of something, or you're unsure about dating or relationships. Because with the 2 of Swords, obviously she's crossed, right? And she's like, do I do this? Do I not? Do I do this? And also like, maybe deciding to approach this situation, even if you guys have had some difficulty in previous relationships, going into it blind and head first, and just being like, let's just see what happens. No expectations. We're not going to let the past influence us. Let's just see what we can possibly make happen here. I do feel like it's a card of indecisiveness. You know, this is a card that's like, I'm in or I'm out, or I'm in or I'm out, and they don't really know what they want. And maybe it's been a period of you guys having enough experiences where you're like, I know what I definitely don't want, and unless something comes along that really checks all of my boxes, I'm not going to be jumping into a relationship or a partnership. So the Sun card is like so polar opposite to that, because this is more about kind of being cautious, being careful, not really being open, and then the Sun card is just like, nope, we're doing this thing, you know, or this is fun, this feels good. The Sun is a card that comes up after there's been challenges, right? So like, I think of the Sun card in the current position as being like, man, you know, now it makes sense why it didn't work out with other people. Or I'm so glad that I met this person because they've really shifted my perspective on dating or relationships, or they've really brought something to the table that I never realized that I needed. So the Sun card is a wonderful card because it is about innocence. It's about fun. It's about excitement. It's about development. It's about being in the moment and really experiencing what you're experiencing and like learning how to have not just a partner, but a playmate. This is about having a playmate and somebody that you can kind of have fun with. And then we've got the Page of Wands coming up, which is interesting because pages are always youthful, but sometimes immature energies. And that's not me saying that he's immature or you're immature, but the Page of Wands is saying the way that you're approaching this is, let's just see where it goes. No expectations. And I think the same thing was coming from this as well. Whatever you guys were dealing with in the past, whatever has kind of made you a little timid or unsure about relationships, there is a sense of being like, as long as this feels good, as long as this is a good and healthy exchange and we're having fun, there's no harm in trying and seeing what happens. And the Page of Wands can be about exploring that. I think it could be about traveling together. I think it could be about, you know, doing hobbies together, learning how to share some of your individual interests and passions with each other. Because one of the lessons, I'm just reading your message. We both left our recent partners. Yep. One of the lessons I think of Libra risings right now with the South Node in your first and the North Node in your seventh is like, not losing your identity in relationships, defining yourself outside of your relationship. And so maybe if you guys left your relationships and your partners, there's been much more of a focus on the relationship with yourself. So you're learning from some of your past habits and you're kind of going, all right, I'm going to focus more on having happiness and having joy and being able to share it with somebody who, you know, does not need to be attached to me 24/7. I would see where this goes because I think it has potential, but I don't really think either one of you guys are in a situation where you're like, yes, this has to be a committed relationship. It's being based purely off of the vibes and the connection. It's being based off of what you guys ultimately end up experiencing and feeling. There is no defined path here. For a card like that, I always pull the bottom card, which is the Two of Cups. So it is saying if you can go with the flow, yes, it can very much lead to a relationship. But to me, it seems like this is somebody who's more focused on the connection, less with the idea of commitment in itself. And the commitment may actually come down the road, but he's more in the moment and wanting to make sure that there's a connection with somebody and it feels authentic and it's fun, right? A lot of this is about fun and maybe getting and exploring and doing the things you guys didn't get in other relationships. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Readings are now closed. So thank you guys for joining. I love that. Well, you don't have to make a decision yet because to me it seems like it's just more about being in the moment with this one and seeing where it takes you. And there's no glaring red flags for me. If anything, I think that it may surprise you and you guys may actually end up being in a relationship, but I don't think either one was kind of expecting to meet somebody so soon or get back into like dating. That's kind of the feeling that I get. All right, we got Gigi. What's up, Gigi? General reading for Aries rising and Mars, Taurus moon, Libra sun. All right, Pisces north node. Eclipse is on your north node. Eclipse is on your sun. How is life right now? Probably some interesting stuff. All right, so let's take a look. We'll do a general reading for Gigi. What can we tell her? And after Gigi, we have Amber, Stephanie, and Swats. All right, this is your reading, Gigi. What do the cards have to say for you this evening? Ooh. Spicy. King of Swords, Three of Cups, Death card. Well, so a couple different ways this can play out. I don't know what's going on, but I feel like there's some situation that's coming up where you're going to have to clear the air with somebody, right? And I don't know what this relates to. I don't know what it's connected to, but King of Swords is coming up. So that could be you, or it can be referencing a relationship with a Gemini, Libra, or an Aquarius. But the King of Swords is direct to the point. He does not mince words, right? There is a sense of him being very clear about his boundaries. There is a sense of him asserting himself and telling somebody exactly what's on his mind. I could also see this as a situation where there are some shifts going on revolving around the way that you communicate with other people, and feeling like you need to stick up for yourself, or you need to kind of like lay it out with somebody and tell somebody what you're thinking or what you're feeling. Three of Cups, which is a positive card. This is about a gathering, a get together, a celebration. This can be about a group of friends. This could be also about more than one person being involved in a situation, or having a connection with one person, and then they come to you and they say, well, I've got something kind of going on, and then you're giving them some kind of direct advice. Sometimes when I see the Three of Cups and the Death card together, it tells me that there is about to be a significant shift in either your relationship to another person, like a friend, or there could be a significant shift that could be happening like in a social group. There could be some drama, right? There could be somebody who is wanting to confront somebody and they're gossiping and they're saying some things, and like you come in and you're like, no, that's not going to work, or trying to be the voice of reason in a group dynamic. So this could be at work, this could be in your family. And both of these cards are very definitive, right? King of Swords and the Death card are very definitive cards. It's like, this is and is not working, and this is where it's done. So for me, I wonder, is it that you're needing to tell somebody, what's on your mind and put an end to a situation or squash something? Is it that you're so mentally exhausted and burnt out with the King of Swords and the Death card that what you really need is a break from your day-to-day life and really more opportunity to connect with other people and to have support from a support system and to be socializing or letting other people know that like you need some support? Because the Three of Cups seem to be completely unaware of the fact that there is some situations that are surrounding it, some gloomy situations with the King of Swords and the Death card that they're not even aware of. So if you're feeling a little bit strapped mentally, or that you need some advice or that you need some support, you got to reach out. You got to tell people how you're feeling and what you need. The Death card does talk about definitive situations that will change, endings and beginnings. So be mindful in how you're communicating with people. If you feel like you need to kind of speak your piece to somebody or clear the air with a group of people, or that you need to tell somebody the truth about a situation and that you're coming to a point where you're like, this has to end, or I can't handle this anymore, do that. Because it does seem like if you're able to do that, the Three of Cups can actually soften the blow. They can help. They can make things better, and they can help make you feel supported. If you don't do that, then they're going to be completely oblivious to kind of what's going on, in the situation. They're not going to be, privileged to that information. And it could make the process of what you're dealing with, what you're thinking about, what you're afraid to talk about, all that much more difficult. And you almost feel like you're kind of like on the outside looking in. People aren't going to know unless you decide to bring it up or have the discussion with them. And the King of Swords teaches us that if we're thinking a certain way, if something's on our mind, we need to kind of write it down, get it on paper. We need to send the email, have the meeting, send the text message, initiate the communication. So that way you can get the point across and you can actually really create some kind of change. All right. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Definitely some interesting cards. That's an interesting combination. We've got Amber, Stephanie, and then Swats. Cancer rising, Pisces sun, Scorpio moon. Have been studying astrology and herbalism. Nice, you got Saturn in your 9th house right now, so that's good. Currently a massage therapist, and I've been taking integrated energy therapy, feeling unclear what direction I should move in. All right, well, let's take a look. Let's see. So you're doing a little bit of everything. Astrology, herbalism, massage, and you're unclear what direction you should move in. You're welcome, Gigi. So let's see what the cards say for you, Amber. I get the Knight of Wands, which for me is going to represent where you're feeling the most drawn to, where there's the most passion, action. I think of Wands as like energy. I think of Wands as what you're able to create. Now that could be with herbalism as well. To gain more insight, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go and look at your Mars placement, your natal Mars placement, because that rules your 10th house. And you're also going to want to look at your natal Jupiter placement, because that rules your 6th house. What signs and how they're aspected. But Aries is your 10th house if you're Cancer rising. And so the fact that you're getting the Knight of Wands, it's like, well, where is there going to be the most action? Where is there going to be the most opportunity? Big turning points for Cancer risings with 2 retrogrades in your 10th house next year, with Saturn going into your 10th house, with Neptune going into your 10th house. And I think that there is still a lot of room for change. This eclipse that you just had in your 9th house indicates that there is some kind of like feeling your way through. What am I supposed to be doing? You know, what am I supposed to be studying? What am I supposed to believe in? And it isn't really until we get in the spring of next year that you're going to kind of gain clarity and then jump into action. I think that, you know, the Knight of Wands, it's worth looking more into the herbalism, because this is going to be about treating something and being in action, and also the energy work. I'm not saying you have to stick to one or the other, but this is going to be where you're feeling the most drawn and what kind of comes to you instinctually. This could also mean that there's opportunities to do training that could come that involves travel. So it might mean that you're going to a retreat, or you're going and, you know, doing a program that could be hybrid, and you have to go, you know, part-time and be in a place and study, and then, you know, you're going to be studying partially on your own. This is about connecting with other people and like forward motion, something that you really feel more so incentivized to do, and something that you feel like has the ability to actually really help grow your business, if that's the kind of work that you want to do. Big time the next 2 years for your career, with all the planets going through your 10th house. And personally, I would say I would not commit to one thing or the other until you get closer to next spring. Now is the time more that's about exploring and seeing where you have the most passion, and also expanding, because the Knight of Wands wants to get out there and see what else is out there. What, you know, you're studying now doesn't have to be limited to that. There could be other different types of energy work. There could also be other practices and other things you can do. But if you have Mars in Pisces, then you're going to be wanting to do things that are going to be more about healing. You're going to want to definitely consider herbalism, but also I would look into like aromatherapy, because that's like oils. That's Neptune, Mars, Pisces. You may also be looking more into anything that's going to be associated with, well, it could be hypnosis, it could be meditation, you know, those kinds of things. Think Pisces things, because if you have Mars in Pisces, which it has to come to you intuitively, that's how you do the work that you're doing. And with Saturn probably around your Mars, eclipses around your Mars, you're not going to have clarity until you get to about next spring. And I would say explore things until you get to that point, and then know that's when everything's going to start to kind of settle in. And then Saturn and Neptune are going to go into your 10th house, and that's when you're going to kind of commit to something completely new, right? Hopefully that's helpful for you, Amber. Jack of all trades. I've been there, done that. I know exactly how that is. And it's helpful to know about the different things, you know, because they all kind of apply with each other. All right, we got Stephanie Todman, who says, I'm wondering if a second job is going to come through. It's a job I worked earlier this year, and I'm hoping to be asked to come back. Currently, it will conflict with the job that I have now, but I'm hoping I will be able to do both. So let's see. Is the second job going to come through? And if so, will Stephanie be able to juggle both of these jobs? Here we go. We've got the Ace of Pentacles, the Judgment card, the Four of Coins. I think the Judgment card is the card of the evening. Everybody's having these realizations, these reckonings. So Ace of Pentacles, that's the offering, okay? So if a client says, am I going to get the job? Am I going to get the payout? You know, is the money going to come through? Am I going to be able to purchase the thing? Ace of Pentacles is like, yes, the offer will be there. So it does look like the offer will come through. Look for that probably around about the next month or so. Generally a month is for me, the Ace of Pentacles. By the end of the year, you'll see that, but most likely probably around a month. The Judgment card is interesting because it does say that on one hand, you know, the offer is great. There's no doubt you're going to say, yes, I'm going to take the job. But Judgment makes you realize that you're going to have to make a decision. There's going to be a realization. There's going to be a reckoning. There is going to be something that's going to come up where you're going to be like, maybe I can't do both. Or maybe, this is incentivizing me to do more of this job that just recently came in, or to be more committed to that. Sometimes this is about the resurrection too. So like the Judgment card coming up is very much like, yes, you'll get the job. They will come back for you, you know, and you'll be able to celebrate that you got the job, and you will be able to do both of them. The Four of Wands is about celebration, temporary spaces and places, gatherings, connections, groups of people.
you know, I wonder, like, is the job coming back, and is it a contract job? Is it something that you're only supposed to do for a short period of time? Do you work like gig to gig with it? Is it going to be that you're going to be a full-time or a part-time kind of employee? Are you a contractor? What is this? Because this talks about, you know, being like, yes, I'm going to enjoy it while I have it, right? Which is a good thing. But I wonder, are you going to get to a point where you're going to be like, I feel like I'm going to have to choose one and the other, you know? She says it would probably only be for like 8 months. Okay, so in that case, that makes me feel better about it. You know, I do think that it's worth accepting the offer because of the money. It is a gig. All right, I thought so. Because that's saying like, I have it while I have it. You know, I'm going to get the money and we'll see how it goes. So if it's a gig thing, then I think it's going to be fine. But just realize that the judgment card coming up is about you already thinking before you're going into the job, am I going to be able to juggle both? And then the job comes in and then you're going to be like, maybe I'm realizing, you know, I kind of bit off more than I can chew. But the Four of Coins does, the Four of Wands does say that, you know, because it's something that's going to be contractual or it's going to be like a gig thing, that you'll be able to kind of manage it. And it does look like it's going to be like fun, or there's going to be familiar faces there, or people that you've kind of worked with before, and that like it's going to kind of come naturally to you and you're going to enjoy working on it and doing your thing. So that's a big yes for me. And also, you know, the offer also looks great as well, like the financial aspect of it. Come back, let me know. But I'm pretty sure on that one. That looks pretty positive. All right, we've got Swats, Kimberly, and Shani. Okay, Swats says, 3-card reading. I had IVF with a donor. I got 5 embryos and they implanted 1. Wondering, do you see it will work the first time? Had to travel to Sydney to do this. I want to have a family. Well, congrats. Swats, what's your sun, moon, and rising? Curious. All right, let's take a look. Let's see. Is it going to stick? What can we tell Swats about this whole baby scenario? All right. So we've got Page of Pentacles, Page of Swords, 3 of Coins. So for me, you know, as a general rule of thumb, when somebody ever asks about babies and I pulled pages, generally that's like a confirmation that's like, yes, you know, there will be a baby, or a baby will be kind of coming through. We've got 2 pages, right? So obviously you said it was 1 embryo. Is there a possibility that it could split, or is it just a single and it's for sure going to be a single? I'm kind of curious because there's two pages here. Pages are kids. We've got Page of Pentacles, which for me, I would want to see a feminine page. I would want to see a Page of Pentacles or a Page of Cups, because for me, that's kind of like, yes, this is this, you know, kind of fertile energy that comes through. Page of Pentacles does talk about, you know, the possibility of like an earth sign. So you're a Cap rising and Aquarius stellium. Okay. I think that with the Page of Pentacles and the Page of Swords, it's saying something sticking, getting word, and then being more confident, or, you know, there being basically something that is developing and that you will know within increments of 3 weeks. Obviously by 3 months, you're going to know, but I think within 3 months, that's when maybe you're feeling more confident in like telling people like, yes, I'm pregnant, you know, and that has nothing to do with like the dumb 3-month rule that people use. But this is more because the 3 of Coins is saying, once we know everything's working, everything's good, you know, then we're going to be able to feel a little bit more firm. I don't really see that as having to try more than 1 time though. Yeah, the Tower card's coming up. So it's saying, no, that's not really necessary. And it's also about saying not worrying about whether or not it's going to work or whether or not it's going to stick. Because the 3 of Coins is saying it's going to work. You're going to be fine. You're going to see this. It's going to be a matter of time. But it is pulling up as a air sign or a earth sign. So depending on pregnancy, you're getting, well, depending on when you did it. So if you did it during Virgo season, then it would be a Gemini. And if you did it, let's see, earlier than that, if you did it in Leo season, then it'll be a Taurus. So I'm wondering if these timelines add up. She says they implanted 1, never know it could split. Tower cards in everybody's business tonight. Yeah. But I do think that this is positive, and it can be saying it's a message. Like for me, the Page of Swords is a message, or it can be saying it's a test. So you may have to wait, a few weeks before you're testing and you're able to see. But like I would say, yeah. And the Tower card coming up is saying like not to stress out and feel like you need to disrupt the process. And also it's confirmation that's saying like you have everything that you need to ensure that you're able to, get pregnant. Like you've got several tries, but I don't really see anything coming up saying that you shouldn't be able to get it on the first round. And I'm curious if it's going to be a Gemini or a Taurus, because I kind of feel like timing wise, there could be some stuff there that's kind of like lining up with that. So for what it's worth, keep us updated. We want to hear all about Baby Watch. Thanks, Melissa. Appreciate it. All right, we have Kimberly. What's up, Kimberly? Ooh, my parents and I had a big falling out with my brother and his wife, both Cancer risings, 4 months ago. My parents blocked him and are moving in 2 months. He's also been disinherited. Holy cow. Will we reconcile with my brother anytime soon? Well, I think about both of them being Cancer risings and the realization that they're going to have when Mars goes retrograde and it goes in and out of Leo in their second house of money, and then it opposes Pluto. And the fact that even if there is some connection that, somebody says like, you're dead to us. Ugh. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's see. So in regards to Kimberly, is there going to be some reconciliation happening between the family, specifically with the brother and sister-in-law, with her parents? Ooh, this card jumped out. The Devil card. Control issues coming up. 4 of Cups, 6 of Coins. So these are the cards that jumped out. So let me just read those. Devil card talks about feeling stuck in a situation. Sorry, move that over. Feeling stuck in a situation, being stubborn, being wicked. 4 of Cups tells me that right now not much is going to change. That for whatever reason they may feel entitled to the decisions that they made. You and your family may also be disappointed, and you might be like, why haven't we heard anything? Why aren't they offering to connect with us? Why aren't they trying in other ways? Number one, when you block somebody, it's energetic. It's not just, oh, I'm blocking them, I don't want to talk to them. Like if your parents are blocking them and then they're disappointed and they're like, well, why are we not hearing from them? Well, they've been blocked, right? Or at least they blocked him. So there needs to be some realization and kind of like reckoning with what is it that your parents want, or you. Do you want to have a relationship with him, or do you not? Right? Because you can't have it both ways. And I'm not saying this to like scold you, but the card is saying you can't sit here with your arms folded and being like, no, I don't want anything to do with them, and kind of limit or block yourself from their ability to try to like make amends. There needs to be a way for them to make amends. Now, obviously, if your sister-in-law is not blocked, she can reach out, they can send an email, they can do other things, but just take that into consideration that if people really want to make amends, they will, because I think you could be dealing with a situation where you have, possibly family members who were doing some things that were kind of naughty or wicked, or, potentially demanding or controlling, and there can be a lot of disappointment all around, revolving around the fact that, people can't see eye to eye or kind of get over their stuff. The final card was the 6 of Coins, which is talking about things balancing out, working out, right? And that could be within about 6 months. Well, obviously they're moving, right? So the 6 of Coins coming up is saying, well, both parties have to be willing to kind of meet in the middle and come together and be able to kind of squash the issues. They need to be fair to one another. That's what's important right now. So this popped up, 7 of Swords. And that can be talking about lies, deception, not being completely forthcoming, doing things that are kind of sly, sneaky, manipulative. I mean, I do think it is possible that they're going to react very strongly when they find out that people are moving, and they're going to be like, what's going on? So they're not talking to us and they're moving away? Like, why wouldn't they tell us? They feel like they're either moving away from them and like kind of taking it personally, or they feel like a little bit deceived, or, you know, not being treated fairly because they weren't told things. They weren't told they were being disinherited. They weren't told that they were moving, you know, and like setting up for potentially a bigger blow up down the road, in my opinion. Is there room to, you know, reconcile and make things better? Yeah, I think there is actually. The Six of Coins says that it could get hashed out, but it does seem like things are going to be more complicated if big decisions are being made, if people are acting, you know, kind of conditionally, they're picking up, they're moving, and then they're not leaving the door open to be able to kind of like hash some of this stuff out. And it can cause some bigger problems down the road, because they will probably take it personally with the Seven of Swords, and they'll feel like, you know, your parents just packed up and they snuck away and they made decisions and they didn't say anything. So ask your parents, do they want to make amends with them? And if they do, then they need to at least leave one line of communication open. You know, maybe one parent has them blocked and one doesn't. Probably whoever's the less reactionary parent, you know, will unblock them, allowing that line of communication to be open. So that way, if they are in hopes that they can kind of reconcile, that gives them the opportunity to do that, right? But it may take up to 6 months for that to happen. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Kimberly. Difficult family drama. We're going to see a lot of it, especially I think about Cancer risings, like, you know, having Mars going through their sign makes them a little bit more aggressive, and then the oppositions to Pluto, and then you're going to see squares happening with planets going through Libra and eclipses. I mean, quite literally, the South Node eclipse is like family is moving, you know, and how they respond or react to that. So when that comes up, I think they're going to be a little bit shocked. So be prepared for that. All right, so we have Shai, and then we have Vanessa. So let's see. So let's go with Shai. Mom is a Scorpio rising and holds grudges. Yeah, well, they're going to move anyway because Pluto's going into her 4th house, you know? All right, so Shani says, 3-card reading, just looking for whatever the universe has as a message. All right, so what messages does the tarot have for Shani? Libra sun, let's see, Cancer rising, Scorpio moon. All the Cancer risings, are you guys okay out there? I actually kind of like this spread. So 5 of Wands, 6 of Wands, 9 of Cups, 5, 6, 9. Interesting that the reading starts off with a scene where there's like a lot of conflict and kind of feeling like you're getting hit from every which angle, right? So I would assume being somebody who's a Cancer rising, there is this sense of feeling like, you know, with Mars in your sign, you're kind of having kind of defend yourself a little bit and kind of be like, whoa, back up, right? This can also be feeling like you are really trying hard to get your point across with other people, or you're trying to get through to other people and you feel like you're hitting a wall. So be mindful of where there's resistance right now. Okay, like a lot of Cancer risings are going to learn throughout this transit the next couple of weeks that you got to pick your battles. Some things are worth fighting for and standing up and defending yourself with, and other times it's not going to be worth it. And you guys got to be really careful as you're getting closer to the end of October as Mars starts opposing Pluto, because you're going to go toe-to-toe with the wrong person, and whether it's a boss, a partner, you know, some stranger off the street, there's going to be some fierce altercations. You need to be mindful. Not everybody is worth dealing with. And with the 5 of Wands, to me, it feels exhausting because it's like you're constantly having to defend yourself, or maybe you're, you know, running yourself ragged working. Mars rules your 10th house. Maybe it means that you're just really trying to focus on, you know, creating some time for your own happiness and your own ability to do some things, and you keep feeling like it's just getting thwarted at every stop. But the positive here is that the 6 of Wands comes up, which is the next card. And so this is saying after the challenge, after the upheaval, after the squabble, after kind of feeling like you have to defend yourself, there is some victorious situation. You have the 6 of Wands, which is about homecoming. It's about celebration. It's about traveling. It's about being well received, or people respecting you, or giving you a little bit more, I think, support or approval. So this can be somebody being like, whoa, I didn't know she had it in her. You know, I didn't think she was going to be able to do that, or I didn't think that she was going to stand up for herself, and like, I respect her more now. So look for that, and also look for opportunities that are going to be coming up revolving around going home. And I say that because you have eclipses in your fourth, but this is the homecoming card. So going and seeing family, or visiting with family, going back to your hometown, going to see siblings, parents, things like that can start happening, and you go home and you might feel like a sense of renewal, or you're feeling refreshed in some way, or you're able to kind of reconnect with your past and make peace with things, and then feel like, wow, I'm so good that I moved away from home, or I'm so glad that I've moved on from that old relationship or that situation. Like, you're kind of like congratulating yourself because you feel like you've graduated at this point. And then the Nine of Cups talks about obviously wish fulfillment, things being granted. You know, you might be really focused on things you're trying to manifest right now. And I think for a lot of Cancer risings, it's feeling like you have more control, feeling like you have more authority, feeling like you can have more energy and you're able to get more work done. Or, you know, maybe you're feeling a little bit more creative or passionate because Mars also rules your fifth. But whatever your goal is, because this tells me that you're having to fight for something that you really want to achieve, or you really want to get recognition for. And yeah, it feels like you're kind of just, you know, going against the grain right now. But if you stay with it, not only are you going to see success, but you're also going to feel like, I did it. You know, it was worth the challenges. It was worth what I had to overcome. The Nine of Cups for me is like the guaranteed wish card. You get what you want. You know, whatever you're asking for, it's going to materialize, and you're going to be really happy that you kept pushing towards your goals or something that you're trying to achieve. And then you can kind of sit and you can kind of chill and you can celebrate and you can be happy, right? And this is also about going where you're well received, being around people who are going to support you. They're going to build you up. They're not going to tear you down. Being in relationships or work dynamics or environments where people are going to be encouraging you, not necessarily fighting you. So you will see a lot of pretty drastic polarity throughout this transit. You know, some people are going to be your people and other people are definitely not going to be your people. And you're going to start seeing that as you're getting closer to October. So be mindful of who you're surrounding yourself with. You don't want to be putting yourself in situations where it's kind of, you know, bringing the vibe down or making you kind of doubt yourself. You need to be around people who are going to be supporting the person you're becoming, right? And not getting kind of tangled up in the past. I hope that's helpful for you, Shani. We've got Vanessa and Briana. What's up, Vanessa? She says, I'm at my wit's end with my 15, almost 16-year-old. She's not talking to me. She's not taking me or school seriously. I'm on the verge of pulling her out of her private school and sending her somewhere else. Is that a good idea? If yes, when? Why is our relationship so shitty? Is it karmic? I'm exhausted. Also, am I good or do I need protection? I have been waking up at 3:50 a.m. for weeks now. Thanks, Shani. Well, girl, you have these eclipses that are coming through your fourth house. Your Cancer rising. Another one. So you're having eclipses that's creating disruption within the home. Right? So you want to burn incense. That can be really helpful. Sandalwood, it can be good, but incense, bells, chimes, anything like that can kind of clear that out. But let's see what we need to tell Vanessa about her teenager. What should she do? Should she change schools? What's going on with this relationship? She says, is it karmic? As I pull the Six of Cups. Oh, man. All right. So Six of Cups, Six of Wands. There's Six of Wands again. And the Eight of Swords. Here's the thing, right? Like, we've all been 15, 16, 17 years old, right? We've all been like, I know everything. And then we realize when we have kids or when we get older, like, we don't. Six of Cups is trying to, on one hand, get you to remember some of the impacts and the effects that you had when you were a kid. What you experienced within your home, within your family, with your mom. The South Node's going through there with eclipses. So it's also tied to family karma and the relationship you have with your daughter and the relationship that you had with your mom and, you know, kind of the whole family lineage of what has happened mother to daughter. You're clearing that out. So the Six of Cups is trying to get you to think back to what happened back then and also realize and recognize that to some extent, you may have gone through some of the same things. I'm not saying you acted the same way, but you've had some similar experiences with issues with your mom, most likely with that card coming up in the past position. When you ask, is it karmic? Six of Cups says yes, it is karmic. It's saying that there is some kind of exchange. There's some familiar patterns, whether you guys have done this in past lives or there's some lessons that are kind of coming in from the relationship you had with your family where some of this stuff is now getting worked out. The interesting thing is the Six of Wands does talk about like it being something that changes, and it changes for the better. So when you talk about being like, should I make changes with her going to school? Six of Wands is saying that, you know, if you're making a decision and sticking to it, and you're deciding, hey, I'm going to do this, you know, the one thing I would say with the Six of Wands is check in with your family, right? Ask other people what they think. Be like, you know, I'm going to talk to my mom, I'm going to talk to my sister. You don't have to give them the full 411, but this is about going with people who know you, or they understand the situation, and you're able to get some feedback. I also feel like the Six of Cups and the Six of Wands is about looking at the situation, being like, okay, you know, if I'm trying to fight fire with fire, it's not going to work. And realizing that if you can handle the situation in a much more tactful or sensitive way, where, you know, you're going to be catching more flies with honey than you are with vinegar, you don't have to be on attack mode. I'm not saying you are, but you don't have to be on defense. You want to be on offense. You want to be like, okay, there's a problem here. This is the situation we're having. I do feel like with the Six of Wands and the Six of Cups, it's going to be about you reevaluating what is and isn't working for you. And if you feel like you're investing money into a private education and, you know, she's not appreciating that, or it's not creating a very positive influence on her, then it does look like if you decide to make a change, you'll be successful in doing so. I do think that the Eight of Swords is kind of like a bummer card, because it's saying it's leaving you feeling like out in the cold, and feeling like there isn't an opportunity for you to connect or kind of communicate with her, and that you're feeling very limited, or that your guys' exchange is very limited, or that you're strapped in terms of what responses you actually have to the situation. But it can be talking about her feeling that way as well. You know, Eight of Swords, nothing's holding us back from making a change. We're just, you know, we're blindfolded, and we think that, well, there's no way out of this, or we can't see clearly. But it could actually materialize as her thinking, my mom just doesn't get it, and you're like, she just doesn't get it. When both people are kind of in that mindset and you're not able to communicate, then the problem perpetuates and it gets harder. And so when I see the Eight of Swords, this is a card that I'm like, if you guys can't communicate, then you need to find a way to communicate. And maybe it's a matter of being like, look, you know, we're going to go and talk to a therapist together and find a way to be able to work through some of these communication issues, because I'd like to get back to a place where like we could be friends again, or that we can interact and it could be a nice, kind, sweet interaction. And like, I want you to have fun, and I want you to be a teenager, but also I want you to do it in a way that's going to be respectful, or I want it to go in a way where you know, you're still pursuing your education and your goals, and you're doing things that are going to make you successful. We want to make it more about supporting her and the person she's becoming, rather than you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, I'm going to take this away and I'm not talking to you. Because she's not going to respond well to that, according to the cards. The confirmation card that I get is the Five of Swords, which is about laying your weapons down, not using words for conflict and fighting anymore, right? That's not going to get anywhere. And also not tolerating miscommunications, you know, not responding, not calling back, not allowing that to be an option. That what you will start doing with this card is you'll start going, okay, if you're not communicating, then these are going to be the repercussions, and then actually applying them. But I think that you guys could use some assistance in like having a third party and having somebody sit down and like really see you guys engage and be able to give you guys pinpointers and kind of be like, this is where you could communicate better, this is where you could communicate better. So you guys aren't seeing things in such a one-sided fashion, because that can kind of happen with the Eight of Swords. But I do think that the Six of Cups and the Six of Wands says, look, you know, you can be successful in being able to get back to a time where things were, I think, a little bit sweeter. I also feel like to some extent, this is probably going to materialize as you being like, look, I'm only going to do so much for you until you get me to a point where you're not being respectful, or you're not, you know, kind of abiding by my wishes. You're not following just the basic rules that I'm kind of asking you to follow. So these are going to be the repercussions, right? And like, yeah, you might get the silent treatment, or maybe you already are with the Eight of Swords, but the Five of Swords is going to be after enough time has kind of gone by and some of these changes have happened, this realization and recognition that's just like, I shouldn't fight my mom, you know, I don't have to be at odds with her. And like, she will start to kind of learn when she starts to see some of the shifts that are happening in terms of your guys' dynamic. But in terms of protection, I mean, you know, Eight of Swords can be this feeling of being like, okay, there's a lot of negativity around me. How do I clear it? Right? And so with swords, we always want to work with air. So incense, chimes, chanting. I mean, you'd be surprised how much you can kind of blast out of your house, literally playing like some Gregorian chants and like burning some incense. I mean, like sound will break all of that stuff up that's in your space. Definitely consider looking into some sandalwood. I think that can be really helpful for breaking up conflict in the home. Unfortunately, these eclipses are about relationship disruption. And it's not just romantic relationships, it's just relationships in general. All right, so we've got Briana who says, hi there. I'm feeling super stuck in lots of aspects of my life and having trouble navigating and figuring out a game plan. Court, career, personal life, what do I need to know? Let's take a look. All right, so what advice can we give Briana revolving around coming up with a game plan? And I'm looking at your last name and I'm like, oh, this must be your sister. I've got 9 of Swords crossed with the 4 of Wands. Okay, so 9 of Swords, first of all, when this card comes up, this is where you're like, I'm not sleeping, I can't focus, I'm worried, what's gonna happen, where am I going? And like when we get into that flow, it's like a never-ending vicious cycle. And when I see this card come up, I always tell people, like, you can't worry about the things you don't have control over, right? So when you talk about court, career, personal life, I want you to literally sit down and make a list of your problems, right? So here's Briana's problems, here are my issues. And then I want you to cross out problems and I want you to put prayer list, problem list to prayer list. Because what you should be doing in this scene with the 9 of Swords, where you're up, stressed out, you're worrying about things, what's going to happen, is you're supposed to be saying, no, I'm going to neutralize that. I'm asking for guidance. I'm asking for clarity. I want you to also sit down and make a list of these things and go, realistically, what do I have control over? Because you can't have control over, going back and forth with court with baby daddy. You can show up, you can, respond, but you don't have control over if he does that. You just have to respond. Do you have control over what's going on with your personal life? You do, to some extent, what you will and will not participate in. Do you have control over, what's going on with your career? That may be one of the things you have the most control over when you really think about it, because it's primarily just going to be about you. If you continue on the path with this 9 of Swords, where you're constantly worrying about, what if I don't do this, but if this doesn't work, what if it doesn't, whatever, you're going to make yourself sick. Like literally, you're literally going to make yourself sick. And you're worrying about certain things you don't have control over. So I want you to be praying about the things you don't have control over, or meditating on that and being like, send me some kind of guidance. In the meantime, the confirmation card that's coming up for this is complete polar opposite. 4 of Wands is saying this is a temporary state. It's not going to be like this forever. What's happening right now is happening because you are supposed to be really reevaluating and asking yourself, where do I want to be? Right? Rather than worrying about what's going to happen, be more focused on, okay, where am I going? And the 4 of Wands talks about having support, people around you, having family, other people that are going to be, helping you with this process. It does seem like it's going to be like a 4-month thing that you're going to be kind of going through this. So I don't know, your astrology or your personal placements, but 4 of Wands is saying this is temporary. It's not going to be long. And that after a 4-month period, then there's going to be some reason to celebrate and kind of feeling like things are kind of leveling off. But this is about support coming from other people, because the 4 of Wands is about gatherings, people coming together, like spending time with family, right? Spending time with friends, people who are going to be kind of like boosting you up and not allowing you to sit in this and be alone and be constantly, running through the worst case scenario plays in your head, or, not having somebody to kind of talk to. It wants you to be around other people. And sometimes when I see this, it's like not even so much about going out and socializing. It's like just going out on Sundays and going for a walk in a park, or, making an effort to go and have family dinner with your family, or making an effort to, go and see your friends once a week or once a month, having that connection to other people. So you're kind of getting your mind off of some of the things that you're worrying about, and you're focusing on raising your energy and your vibration. So that way you can be more optimistic about this. But I do see it being like a temporary state. And also this is a card that's about celebrations and good things coming of some of the things that you're feeling like are breaking down. So some reason to kind of celebrate reunions, gatherings, reconnections. This is a reconnection that you see with family. This is a whole family coming together. So whether that's your kids, or, having visitation, or being able to kind of have a reunion, or being able to kind of see family, it does talk about strength coming from people who are closest to you. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Briana. Sending you good vibes. I've got Sonia. And Sonia says, I'm really struggling with career fulfillment. Current job offered me a different position, but needs me to commit for 10 months. What outcome do you see if I take it? I'm a Scorpio rising, Gemini sun, Sag moon. Okay, so a couple things I'll tell you just off the bat. The eclipse for Gemini suns is very much connected to career, right? Because it's 10 signs away from your sun, so it's about career stuff. And as a Scorpio rising, it was in your natal 5th house. So it can be about dating, creativity, romance, but it can also be about your happiness. So you could be like, is this going to make me happy? You know, going and making this move with my job. Mars will retrograde in December. It'll retrograde in your 10th house back into your 9th house. So there can be this process of being in that and then getting to next spring, next summer, and then as Mars goes direct and it's like out of your 7th house, out of your 9th house and back into your 10th house, that the job change is actually like happening. Like it may be happening for you actually sometime after like April, maybe May of next year. So you're saying 10 months, but I'm saying it may be closer to kind of like late spring going into summer of next year. Anyway, so they offered you a job for a different position and you need to commit for 10 months. So let's see, what is the outcome if she takes it? May surprise you, the change might come faster than you think. Ace of Swords, 4 of Cups, the Magician. I love this. The tarot is now getting sassy. You can tell when the tarot's getting a little tired. Ace of Swords is a message, okay? So the message is for you, because you're saying, well, what do I need to know? You know, if you make this commitment and you decide you're going to take the job, you're going to be held to it. So whether this is a contract, a verbal agreement, whatever, like it needs to be fulfilled. If you actually want to see some of the changes that you want to see within your career, you got to stick it out. Ace of Swords can also mean the message to you is make lemonade. 4 of Cups is, you know, I'm not happy with what I'm being offered. This isn't really satisfying. I'm not getting what I want. You know, even though there's an offer here, there's a sense of being like, well, it's not good enough, you know, and not recognizing and seeing 3 of Cups at the bottom, which is opportunity for collaboration, meeting new people, new relationships with employees, having, you know, a new experience, which is going to kind of set you up to be a little bit more stable and strong down the road. So it's really looking at it going, you know, you're being offered something. There is still lots of potential for growth down the road after that period of time. Are you going to go into it and accept it and do it begrudgingly and not really be present and maybe even appreciative, as much as I hate to say that, because, you know, 4 of Cups is not appreciating what you're being offered. And, you know, the job is going to be what you make of it. That's the truth. You know, the Magician card talks about this opportunity that you're creating and working with what you're being given and making magic happen. The Magician has a whole bag of tricks. He's got all of the different elements, the cups, the wands, you know, he's got the swords, he's got the pentacles, and he's able to make magic happen. So you could look at it as, you know, 10 months from now, I'm going to change and I'm going to go to another department. I'm going to make more money. And I'm also going to be able to have like a higher status. And like, yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, but you know what? I'm going to do my best to really kind of prove myself and build in this position. So they're going to see me as somebody who's going to be very valuable to the company. Right? And I don't necessarily think you're all that thrilled, even knowing what you know now, about going into this position or this department. It's obvious with the 4 of Cups. It's like, well, you know, I'll make the agreement, but I'm not happy about it. And, you know, we'll see what happens. And I would say, don't go into it with that mindset. If you can commit, I do think that you're going to see a very positive outcome. But the outcome is going to be not just based on your performance, but it's going to be based off of your, like what you bring to the table. It's going to be based off of your demeanor, your interaction with other people, your problem solving skills, your ability also to really kind of master any position you're being put in. So you may go into this and you may actually, and I really do think, especially for Scorpio risings, you're going to see lots of opportunity for career development after the retrograde because Mars slows down, right? It goes into your 9th house. So then you're going to be either traveling or learning or training or, you know, whatever. And then it'll eventually come back next spring into your 10th house. And then there could be some job change stuff happening. Also, Mars will oppose Pluto. So it's going to be like, am I working too far away from home? Can I work from home? You know, am I accepting a position that allows me to relocate? That stuff can also be coming up too. But the Page of Pentacles is saying that it's worth the time, it's worth the investment, and also that this is an area and a position that you could really grow into, and it could be more so lucrative for you in the long run. The job is going to be what you make of it. So I encourage you to go into this really trying to be seen as a very valuable asset and like kind of a can-do attitude and being appreciative of what you're being given, because that's going to really heavily influence ultimately where they place you at the end of that 10-month period. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Sonia, good work vibes. Sending you lots of good vibes on that one. Well, that's it for me, guys. That is all that I have for you this evening. If you haven't already, please click the bell button below and subscribe to my channel. I'm here every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, giving you guys the updates with what's going on in the cosmos with the astrology and bringing in some Sabian symbols and tarot peppered in there as well. Lots of stuff coming up this week. We're going to be talking about Mars trine Saturn on Sunday for the astro weather, so you guys don't want to miss the weekly rundown. We've got eclipse videos that have already been put out, but we're going to do another one. We are also going to have horoscopes. So check all that out. You guys will get all the announcements if you subscribe to the channel. If you like my work, consider checking out my website at beyondtheveiltarot.com. I offer personal private readings live via Zoom where I incorporate tarot and astrology. We do it all: progress charts, natal charts, election charts, solar returns, synastry, all that stuff. I also teach tarot and astrology. So you guys should check out my webinars and my classes that I have on my website. While you're there, sign up for my newsletter so you're alerted as to when I have new videos, and also some of my courses and products that'll be coming out later in the fall. I hope you enjoy the rest of your guys' Friday and your weekend, and I will catch you guys all back here next Friday for the solar eclipse astrology readings. Take care, and I'll see all of you very soon.